In this example, we want to show that differentiate tangent x is secant square x. This is actually a standard formula here. If you write tangent, differentiate tangent function. So this one tells you differentiate tangent x. Just replace fx by x, then it's just secant square, right? So it just gives you secant square x. And we want to show this. We'll use the quotient rule to show it. And we know that tangent is sine x over cosine x. To differentiate tangent x is to differentiate sine x over cosine x. So that means numerator u is sine function. Differentiate sine function is cosine. Denominator is v. Differentiate cosine x is minus sine x. So all this formula is actually can be found in slide 15. So with that, you can substitute into the quotient rule. So you write down v, which is cosine x, then du dx minus u dv dx over v square, right? V square, so it's over cosine square. Yeah? And then numerator will give you cosine times cosine, will give you cosine square. And then negative sine times negative sine will give you a plus sine square. And then you have this trigo identity which tells you sine square plus cosine square is 1. So numerator simplify to 1. 1 over cosine square is secant square. In trigo, you know that 1 over cosine theta is secant theta. So 1 over cosine theta is secant theta. So we get the secant square theta. So we get what we want to show. Next we look at part 2. Part 1 I will show you earlier when I talk about product rule. Part 1 is u times v, do product rule. So we are going to look at part 2. Cosine inverse ln x. So first let's get a formula for differentiating cosine inverse. So we must know how to differentiate d dx cosine inverse. So cosine inverse x. So we can get it from here. It's actually here. So remember cosine inverse x is actually minus 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. Just replace fx by x. F prime x, we replace it by 1. So this one become 1. This one become x. That's why it's minus 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. Minus 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. So it's minus 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared. Then, using the idea of box, I mentioned replace x by box. So it's cosine inverse box. So it's minus 1 over square root of 1 minus box. And the square still there. Means you replace x by box. And then you add. So you add d dx box. So you add the term d dx box. Okay, then you add d dx box. So you add d dx box. And after that, you just check. You must fill in. What must you fill in? So you should fill in ln x over x. Ln x over x go inside the box. So that means you fill in ln x over x. So it's ln x over x. So with that you can say d dx cosine inverse ln x over x should be minus 1 over square root of 1 minus ln x over x squared, and d dx ln x over x. Okay, then with that, right, you know why just now I showed in the previous video, I show you this. I show you this ddx ln x over x. After you apply the quotient rule, it gives you this answer. 1 minus ln x over x squared. So you copy this answer. So that means the answer should be this part, and this one multiplied by 1 minus ln x over x squared. So the answer is just this minus 1 over square root of 1 minus ln x over x squared times this. So let me write it here. So that means ddx cosine inverse ln x over x. After you apply the formula, it's minus 1 over square root of 1 minus ln x over x squared, right? Then the ddx ln x gives you a 1 minus ln x over x squared. So we can write it as minus 1 minus ln x over x squared, then square root of 1 minus ln x whole thing squared divided by x squared. And you can simplify this. You can actually write it as negative 1 minus ln x over x squared square root of x squared minus ln x whole thing squared over x squared. And then you can take square root and cancel away x. Okay, so it's actually x squared square root of, so it's actually x squared minus ln x whole thing squared over square root x squared. So you can split it into square root of numerator over square root of denominator. So with that you can actually simplify. So let me write it here. So there's a minus sign. And 1 minus ln x over, you can say this. Square root of x squared will give you x, the same as x. So x and x squared can cancel. So x squared and x cancel give you x. So we left with x only. So we left with x in square root of x squared minus ln x whole thing squared. And how to do with this minus sign? Then remember you have this, when you have negative a minus b, the same as negative a plus b, so the same as b minus a. So we can actually multiply the minus sign in to give you, that means you consider negative bracket 1 minus ln x to give you minus 1 plus ln x, which is same as ln x minus 1. So the final answer is ln x minus 1 over x square root of x squared minus ln x whole thing squared. So this is the simplest answer. So that's how we deal with this.